What's up, everyone? Welcome to the second week of the Gamay box. If you're just joining us for the first time, and in case you haven't heard, this month really I'm calling it Gamay box. It's really the horizontal tasting. It should really aptly call soil box. Whole point of this month is to really talk about different soil types, but we're doing it all through one singular varietal blend of Gamay. So these are all 4 bottles in this month's box is all Gamay, but they're all made from different parts of the world. 3 of them are in France, but they're made in different parts, grown on different soil. So the idea is that kind of explore different soil type and what it does to the final style of wine. Obviously, it's not ideally, if you're trying to get really scientific about all this, everything else should be equal, right? It would be the same production method, same aging, same age, same vintage, all of that, even probably same from the same place. But obviously in the wine world, it's not so exact like that. So we're trying to get as close as possible. But so yeah, last week we tasted Gamay grown on a volcanic soil. And then we are moving on to Gamay that's grown on granite. So that's what we have this week, and hopefully just by tasting it, looking at it, you can tell that this is a completely different wine than it was last week. If you remember what that wine was like last week, it was kind of like dark and brooding and all of that, but this one is a lot poppier, a lot more red fruit driven, and we'll talk a lot more about that when we're tasting it. But yeah, just kind of the aim of this month's box. But a few announcements before we get into the wine. Case Club closes tomorrow. I sent an email about that with a reminder yesterday. So if you are planning on participating in Case Club, let me know ASAP. That will all be wrapped up tomorrow. I'm going to shoot the order in. Along with that, next month's invoices will go out in 3 days. So on the 15th, as it does every month. So this being the February, which is a shorter month, I need to know ASAP whether you're joining us or not. So as soon as the invoice goes out, which will be on Saturday, 15th of this month in 3 days, either take care of the invoice or just let me know. Especially for those of you who are outside of DC, please let me know whether you're planning on joining or not, so I can get that all rolling. But yeah, this being February with a fewer days, I have less time than I normally would in other months. On that note, next month's theme, I'm not sure how I'm going to slice this yet within the region that I'm going to, but it's going to be Rioja. So of all things in the world, as you know, that I'm a bit allergic to oak and yew oak particularly, except for Rioja. It's one of those like a guilty pleasure. I can, openly admit to my other wine nerds that I like Rioja, but old, beautiful aged Rioja is a beautiful thing. So I don't know if I'm going to slice it in terms of aging and amount of oak exposure. I'm going to slice it through, Rioja is also made in 3 different regions with the 3 different altitudes. So maybe this would be another kind of a geeky box where we are talking about different altitude where the wine is made. But obviously, same grape variety. Tempranillo, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about Rioja. And hopefully I can find some good Rioja, aged Rioja white Blanco, which is a pretty cool stuff. But anyways, so next month theme as of right now is going to be Rioja. I just don't know how I'm going to slice it yet, but that's what I'm working on. But yeah, so if that matters, if the theme matters, next month is going to be Rioja. Last but not least, well, it's not last, but I just sent this email out, so I don't blame you if you haven't seen it, but a Matassa allocation just hit DC market. For those of you who are not familiar with the Matassa, it is this South African guy named, is it South Africa or New Zealand? Is it Kiwi? I think he's Kiwi, actually. Kiwi named Tom Lube, who makes some of the most sought after, rare, culty kind of a natural wine out of the southwest in Roussillon region of France. These things get snatched up so fast. Sometimes some vintage that don't even make it down to DC. They all get snatched up in New York. But this year we got some, very, very small amount. And also within that is actually also magnums, which we've never really seen down in DC market. So if you're interested, there's some magnums of Matassa available right now. They're all going to get snatched up. I'm willing to bet they're all going to get snatched up by end of tomorrow. So if you are interested, go look at my email and let me know which one and how much you want. The availability is not guaranteed until the order is confirmed. Everything, I'm told that everything will be sold on a first come, first served basis until they run out of inventory. And like I said, if you want it, you got to act now because all that is going to be gone by end of tomorrow. So just giving you guys opportunities to pick up some Matassa if you like. And last but not least, 6 Foot Wine Cup is committed to donating 1% of gross revenue to an organization whose mission statement aligns with its values each month. And we are donated to Miriam's Kitchen this month. So if you are interested in donating on 6 Foot Wine Club, the chat donation link is right there in the chat box. Any questions about next month, Case Club, allocation, blah, 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 blah.
I do not see an email from you about Matassa, FYI.
Yeah.
It left me out. I don't know what I did to offend you, but
it went out.
Anybody else?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Like he just sent it, Dave. Like right when we started.
Yeah, I just sent it.
Okay. Oh, maybe. All right.
I literally sent it like 10 minutes ago, maybe 15 minutes ago.
All right.
Yeah.
So, cool. Any other questions? Right on, right on. In that case, hearing no other questions, we're moving to the wine. This is what we're tasting today. 2023 Domaine de Cognettes Le Rouge is what we're tasting. In case you're wondering why this looks so familiar, it's because we featured them before. We actually had the importer, Shannon, who runs Native Selections out of Richmond, Virginia, join us on the call, and he talked about how this was the very first wine that he ever imported, brought into the US. So here we are, and also my camera's having a hard time focusing right now. There you go. So yeah, that's the one. This was one of our fan favorites when we featured it back in 2021. So it's been a while, but yeah, I've always liked this wine, and I think it does a good job. And yes, this week we're talking about Gamay grown on granite, and yes, I could have thrown in a Beaujolais, Cru Beaujolais, but a lot of you are already in Beauj box, so you guys already have access to a lot of Gamay grown on granite. So I figured I'll take you somewhere outside of Beaujolais, some other place in the world where the soil type is granite, and then show you kind of a little different expression, because the climate here is definitely different from Beaujolais. So that's where we are. Let's start with the map. Sorry, my computer is very slow today. I don't know what is happening. Do you guys see that map on your screen?
Not yet.
No?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my computer, I don't know what's going on with my computer. There's a map of France, right? Should look pretty familiar at this point. So last week, we were in Auvergne. We were in, where was it? Côte du Forez, which is right here, right by Saint-Étienne. The city of Saint-Étienne is right here. This little green part right here, right next to Beaujolais is where we are. The soil type here is quite volcanic. So remember the Gamay with that kind of like brooding, dark black fruit. We were talking a lot about like plum, blackberries, and all of that. It also has some volcanic, tannin structure, as well as some kind of like a smoky minerality, like a black rock. I always describe volcanic like to me, any wines that are grown on volcanic soils all have these kind of black rock kind of minerality thing going on. Again, it could be a power suggestion, but there's something about it that to me screams black rock, and you definitely have that. But this week we're going here. We're all still in Loire, but we're traveling to the complete opposite side of Loire. So we're on the eastern end, right? Southeastern end of Loire. And then we're going all the way to the left. We're in Piedmont. Let me see if I can zoom out a bit here. So yeah, we're in the western end of it. And if you look at it a little more closely, this is how it's kind of divided up. So Loire, on the very western part, Loire River starts where we were last week, near Saint Etienne, near Auvergne. That's where the Loire River originates, and it flows all through the center of France, and then it dumps out into Atlantic Ocean right here in Piedmont, or Nantais, around the town of Nantes. For those of you who are not familiar, this is where Muscadet comes from. We feature Muscadet in 6 for Wine Club as well. It's a classic oyster pairing wine to oysters. So, and it's never really that expensive as well. So it's a good bottle. I've always said it's a good bottle to kind of get for the table if you're at a place with some oysters on half shells. Got a bottle of, Muscadet, order some oysters while you're looking over the menu and chatting it up and whatnot, just to get things started. This is where it comes from. We're talking about white wine territory, right? Muscadet, and it's made from a grape called Melon de Bourgogne. It has nothing to do with the Burgundy. I'm not sure why Bourgogne is thrown in there, but the actual grape variety is called Melon de Bourgogne. So yeah, this is where it comes from. This is kind of like a turquoise blue area. But even within it, you see these kind of sub-appellations within Piedmont, right? You see the different Muscadet sub-appellations, but really where we are here is the Muscadet Sèvres Maine is where we are. This is where the best, quote unquote, most age-worthy Muscadet comes from. And yes, you can age some Muscadet, not all, but some Muscadets are made with the ageability built into them. And the part of the reason is because they are grown on things like granite and some of the more of these kind of mineral-driven soil type, as opposed to rest of Muscadet, the general regional Muscadet appellation you see. Those are oftentimes grown in sandy and clay soil. And then as you get into Muscadet Sèvres Maine, the soil type changes into some volcanic as well as granite, as well as some limestone as well. So when those things are thrown in, the wine itself, the acid kind of gets high. The mineral and the tannic expression shows more. So it produces wines that can be aged a little bit longer than the rest of Muscadet. So in the middle, in the heart of this Muscadet Sèvres Maine, is a little town called Clisson. It's not shown here on this map, and that's where this winery is. And Clisson got its own appellation status back in 2011. All because of its amount of granite that's in the soil. The soil type here is so much more granitic than the rest that they actually gave itself its own appellation status. However, this one, if you look at the back of this one, you'll see that it's not necessarily Muscadet Sèvres Maine. Well, I can't do that because Muscadet Sèvres Maine is a white wine appellation. But this one is actually IGP Val de Loire, which is fruit can come anywhere within Loire. But yeah, just know that this wine, this fruit is sourced from Clisson around, it's all estate fruit, so they grew it themselves all around the winery itself in the town of Clisson. As you can see, as you saw on that map, it's very close to the Atlantic Ocean. So not only how this wine is different, and you may be thinking, wow, like this is basically like Beaujolais, but what is it different? It's grown on granite, which is a similar thing to Cru Beaujolais. But where it was, because the proximity to the Atlantic Ocean, there's a lot of maritime influence. We talked a lot about how as more inland that you go, more continental the weather becomes, or climate becomes. It gets really hot in the summertime, it gets really cold in the wintertime. And where we were last week, for example, right? The Côte de Forêt right next to Beaujolais. I mean, it is a very, very primitive, right in the smack in the center of France. So it gets quite cold there in the wintertime. But because this is next to a huge body of water, which is Atlantic Ocean, there's huge maritime climate. So you get milder, but more humid wintertime here. So the wines here just produce something a little different. It's not as in general, it's not as steely. It's not as it doesn't have as much rigid backbone as you would find in a Cru Beaujolais or in Auvergne or Côte de Forêt. But nonetheless, it does get warm enough in the summertime here, and especially with that granite, you get with the heat retention property. There's no and the clay in the soil as well. There's no problem ripening the grapes here as well because it's much milder and it's warmer. Let's talk a little bit about who makes this wine. Where did it go? I particularly like this picture that I was able to find. This is Stefan on the left and Vincent on the right. This winery is run by two brothers named Stefan and Vincent Perrault. They straight up look like mechanics, right? People who work with their hands, very much of a just, manual. I mean, this picture is taken in front of their tractors, but that's really it. I mean, these guys are first and foremost farmers. That word vigneron gets thrown on a lot quite a bit when we talk about French wines, but they're true vignerons in its spirit, that word of that spirit of that word, meaning they're first and foremost farmers. They're out there in the field farming. I mean, as you can imagine, these guys have dirt under their, fingernails at all times. They see themselves more farmers than they are winemakers. But don't get it mistaken that these guys, their family have been making wine for 9 generations. So this is a 9th generation of Perrault family that has been farming and making wine here. So there's definitely some know-how. They definitely know a close understanding and familiarity with the land. And honestly, their wine has been, I've been working with them for a very, very long time, and their wine gets better every year. There's certain things that I find in their wines that every year that, the fresh and the purity, fresh fruit and all of that is something I've always appreciated about their wines. But there's something that just gets deeper, resonates with me deeper, and it gets better every year. They started working in their family vineyards in 1988, and then they started converting to organic farming as soon as they kind of took over, and then they became certified in 2013. So now this wine is a eco-certified organic wine. They've been making organic wine since 2013. Like I mentioned, true vignerons in the sense of the word, just farmers at their heart, and they let go of use of any chemicals, even within organic farming. In case you didn't know, copper and sulfur are allowed. Amount is regulated. When you can use it, also regulated. But in general, copper and sulfur is allowed. You can spray the fields for as a fungicide. But these guys refuse to do that as well. So they go above and beyond what organic certification requires. And then their whole thing is really all about sustainability of soil, biodiversity, not only of the soil, but the plants and the fauna there as well. So if you look at the label, there's a ladybug on the label that's pulling the cart. That's kind of a homage to their philosophy. So they use, for example, ladybugs as a means of pest control rather than spraying the field with the different stuff. They also have, last time I checked, Sean was actually telling me this, that last time when he went to go visit that they have actually set up like a nest boxes for bats and other creatures, so that they can increase the biodiversity in the field. So these guys are like a true hippie farmers that are out there farming these grapes in Muscadet, around the town of Clisson. There's another picture of them rocking out. But yeah, that's who makes the wine. So what is this wine? This is 100% organic hand harvested Gamay grown on granite with the quartz topsoil. These are straight from their website that I just pulled. Maceration in tank for 12 days, 70% destem and the rest in whole cluster. So it's a 30% carbonic and a 70% destem. And then the maceration happens in the tank. So this is not in a cement tank or anything else. And then they also press juice and the drop juice are blended. What they mean by that is that free run juice, what they mean by drop juice. So those are the most prized juice of any grape. So when you're actually, so you bring in all the grapes, right? You put it in the tank, and then within their own weight, the juice that gets pressed out and it comes out that first. That's called free run juice. Those are the most prized portion of the grape juice. That's where the best wines are. If you ever go to a winery and then if they make multiple different levels of wines, that very first free run juice is what they use to make their premium, the best wine. And then you start pressing it, and then there's a head, and then there's tail. It's just kind of like if you are familiar with distillation, same thing happened. There's a head of the distillate, the spirit, and then a tail of this spirit. Oftentimes you get rid of the head, the very first part, because it is much higher in like methanol than it is on ethanol, so it's actually not safe. But then the tail end, you get a lot of harsh kind of flavors, and it's a similar thing with the wine. When you start pressing off the juice from the grapes, the very first part and the last part is kind of discarded, and the middle part is the most used portion. So that pressed juice along with the free run juice are blended. They make a point to say that in their tech sheet. And then alcoholic and malolactic fermentations are completed in tank with native yeast and native bacterium or malolactic. So no stopping of malolactic, it's all native yeast, no enzymes, no chemical addition, no filtering, no fining, no sulfites. So we're talking about a 0-0 wine here. And this is what I mean by what I think they're getting better and better every year. Their wine seems more stable every year. When I first started working with these producers, certain vintages as well as certain bottles, there's a lot more bottle variation, and some of them are teetering right on that edge. There's some really spiked and elevated VA. It felt like it was about to fall off, and some of them did fall off in certain vintages. But every year now, every vintage, even though it's a 0-0, no sulfites added, nothing essentially. There's no protection here. There's no safety net here whatsoever. Yet their wines seem incredibly clean and incredibly stable. I would be totally comfortable and confident to leave this wine just open and drink it over a couple of days, which is not always the case with the 0-0 wine. Sometimes you got like a 2-hour window to drink them. But yeah, they're just getting better and better at it. So that's what we have here. Any questions about anything I just went over before we get into tasting the wine?
Yeah, the bottle says it's Gamay Noir. Is there a difference in grapes?
Supposedly there's a Gamay Blanc as well. I've never seen it. I have heard that there's a Gamay Blanc. Just there's like a Grenache Noir, Grenache Blanc, just like that. So there's a white version of this grape variety, but I have never seen it personally.
So there's not just a Gamay and a Gamay.
Correct. Yeah, there's actually, I'm sure they are related, but there's an actual white variety that was bred over time from Gamay. Yeah, there's a Gamay Blanc and Gamay Noir, but I have never tasted it. I've never seen it. But I have heard that there exists Gamay Blanc. Any other questions? Oh, there you go. It says right there. Essay bottle, Stefan, Vincent Perrault, their address in Clisson. The farmer veneers it with natural methods, harvest by hand, and work with a minimal intervention in the cellar. Okay. And actually saw the alcohol percentage. All right, let's taste it. Who wants to take the appearance? Come on, somebody. Bueller. Bueller.
I'll go.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Also, welcome back. It's been a while.
I know. I just finished trying all of my Beaujolais from last year's Beauj box. Still
Right on.
catching up on others. All right. This wine looks clear.
Yeah, this wine is clear. I will say though, this wine does not look filtered or fine. Like you can tell, it's
Yeah.
not translucent or anything. Yeah, for sure. But for all intents and purposes, I'll call this clear as well.
I'm gonna
Intensity.
say this is medium intensity.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine seems it's like it's not fully deep, where like I can't see anything, but it's definitely more than medium that I see here. I see
Let
like
me. I
medium
don't
plus.
have much in my glass. Let me.
Yeah, perhaps that's that.
more.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't really see through.
So yeah, I'm gonna call this like, given this, I would say medium plus to deep is what I would say. Color?
Ruby.
Yeah, call this ruby as well. Any other observations?
No.
Yeah. No deposits, no signs of
No.
bubbles. Yeah.
No
Okay.
legs, no bubbles.
Cool. You get to pick the next person for the nose.
I am gonna pick Heidi because we haven't been on here together in a long time.
All right, Heidi.
Hello. I'll be shameless. Oh, maybe.
Shameless.
Of course I have my eye masks on. Um, let's see. Okay, nose. This wine smells clean.
One's clean. This one is sound. Intensity.
Intensity? Give it medium to medium plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna call mine
Pop
medium
enough
plus.
rim.
Like mine is like here. Like that's still like what, 2 inches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna call this medium plus. Quite
Mhm.
expressive. Medium plus aromas. Ooh. What do you got?
Oh, I got red fruit, cherry, the candy.
Anything before effort? Any floral, green citrus, stone, tropical, any of that?
No, nothing. It feels it's if I'm gonna call a flower, it's an artificial smell.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like it's more candy toned
Okay.
to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get a little bit of like violet, a little bit of rose petal, some of that, which is a very typical thing that I get with a Gamay. I mean, just to me, this smells like Gamay.
Yeah.
By getting this, I'm like, this is Gamay, right? Which to me always has a little bit of that like violet, rose, and all that, depending on where it comes from. But fruit-wise, you're saying red fruit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Red
to me,
fruit, nothing like it's like candy cherry, or like candy black cherry.
yeah, there's
It's
definitely
very
some high
good.
tone fruit here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do get fresh fruit here. Like I think that cherry call is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's some of that like I don't know, even like cherry cola, cherry smell, you know. A little bit of like red vine, kind of
Yes.
raspberry kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's both like fresh kind of a thing, but there's definitely some high tone,
Yeah.
Starburst cherry, yeah, things like that for
Yeah.
sure. And that's all coming from that the D-stem, the carbonic that's in there. Okay, any black fruit at all?
I mean, if we're getting really crazy, you remember warheads where the black cherry warhead where you suck the sour part off and then you just have the fruity candy, that black cherry flavor as well.
Okay, all right, all
I
right.
like those two.
Yeah, I mean, I get a little bit of black fruit here too, actually, to tell the truth. It's not like, I mean, I guess this is what the British would call bramble, like something a little brambly here.
Yes, brambly.
But more than anything, I definitely do get some. Like, to me, this is more red than it is
And
black.
it's all like fresh and ripe and
Yeah,
high tone,
Yeah.
not cooked, not dried.
exactly, exactly. Any herbaceous herbal spice?
I don't get any herbaceousness. The herbals. Breathe, Heidi. No, I
Me
don't
neither.
catch anything. Mine's a little cold, by the way.
Yeah.
So
No, me neither. I don't get anything like green,
brand number
herbal,
6.
none of that. Maybe you could convince me that there's a like a little of like a spice, like a little peppery spice here, but in general, like nothing green or savory like that.
Right.
Any minerality?
No, I'm not
Yeah?
catching any of it. But that's again, I'm playing with cold product. Maybe a little maybe a little bit of the stone dust type.
To me, this has granite.
Yeah, like a
So
very fine, you know, when you like, I don't know. How do I see it? Have you ever been by a quarry, like quarry where there's just mining rock and it's just dusty and it's not sand, it's not dirt dust, it's
yeah,
stone dust.
exactly, like rock dust essentially.
Mhm.
But I get this very similar vibe, this granite vibe. Like for those of you, a lot of you guys own Bosch box as well. As we're moving through Bosch box, especially not the full carbonic ones, because full carbonic ones, and this is the criticism it gets, that you lose a lot of that kind of sense of place, terroir, minerality, and all of that. But that are semi-carbonic or Burgundian method, just smell the wine, because to me, the ones that are grown on really heavy granite soil, so we're talking Fleury, Wanabon, these places, they have just a ton of this granitic kind of soil that comes out. And to me, this one has that similar, that rock dust, granitic kind of rock dust thing going on. And I get it all over here. Again, last week it was that kind of black rock volcanic thing. This one's got that granitic kind of thing going on. And I understand that this is probably hard for me to, right? Unless, like what Heidi was saying, unless you are somebody who grew up next to rock quarries and know smell of granite versus limestone versus, whatever. But to me, this is like a very unforgettable granite kind of a sense to it. And that only comes from having tasted wines that that's grown on granite, and having made the association over and over and over again. And then this one you start to sense it. So just to help you calibrate your senses, whatever rock dust and rockiness that you're feeling and smelling on this wine, try to register, try to remember, try to form a sensory memory of that as a granite. And the next time you come across a wine that that was grown on granite, see if you get the similar thing. If you're on Bosch box, you have a great chance to do that. Like, so sense this, categorize this thing, this rockiness that you're seeing as a kind of granite. And when we go back and taste through the rest, see if you kind of get the similar thing. So you can remember what granite is like. Any secondary, any tertiary?
No.
Yeah, me neither. This is very much in the primary, fresh. Even then, it's not hugely complex, right? I mean, we got maybe a touch of floral. We got mostly red fruit, maybe a touch of brambly black fruit, but yeah, high tone fruit, fresh fruit, all in the red fruit, and then some some rocky granite dust minerality here, but like not hugely complex, nothing secondary, tertiary, but really expressive kind of primary aromas here going on. Excellent. And then just to make a point from last week, right? Like last week, we were all right here, right? The black fruit family. We talked a lot about blackberry, we talked about black cherry, things like that. But here this week, we're all the kind of like the mostly red fruit, maybe touch of that bramble. But do you see how that changes, right? Like a Gamay grown on volcanic, it's got that black fruit, and Gamay grown on granite with the red fruit. Again, the climate is a little bit different here, right? Place is a little bit different here, but in terms of a soil type, that's usually what happens. And you see that even within Beaujolais as we move through. So Beaujolais, Cru Beaujolais, that's like Côte de Bruy, Juliennaz, right? Parts of Morgon, like Côte de Pie, which is where our Morgon is from in this Boge box. They're all grown on volcanic soil, and they have much more blacker kind of profile, fruit profile, than the ones that are grown on pure granite, like Fleury, for example, almost always vary that beautiful, floral, pretty red fruit, right? So that's the difference. So hopefully you guys can kind of start to see that. All right, let's get to the palette. You get to pick the next person for the palette, Heidi.
Oh, no volunteers. Going once. Okay, going twice. Who do I pick? Who do I pick? Kelly? Are you listening, Kelly?
I'm here. Let me get my wine.
Yeah, okay.
Also, welcome back, Kelly. I mean, you were traveling for a while.
It's like a whole month of wine. I have so much wine. Okay. Hi. All right. I'm gonna make Mike do this with me.
What's up, Mike?
Can you hear us?
Hey,
Okay.
how's it going?
Yeah. We can hear you. We can see you. This is good.
All right.
Palette.
Okay. You ready? What are you eating?
Blueberries.
Okay.
I bet this wine tastes like shit after eating blueberries, Mike.
No, it's
It is dry.
Mine is dry. This one is definitely dry. Acidity.
I like medium.
Yeah, I'll give this about like high to medium or the medium plus, but yeah, I'm gonna lean towards medium. Seems a little bit higher than like the smack there in the center of medium, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, I'll close medium as well. Tannin?
Medium. Okay. Tannin.
medium high.
No, like medium.
Yeah, call this about medium as well. It's got some tannin. It's not
Mm.
nothing, right? It's not just like a pound juice. It's got some
Yeah.
structure. It's got some grip. Yeah. Alcohol.
Low. No.
Mike doesn't listen or participate very often.
Yeah. You're like, is this even booze?
It's
What
like, it's not
percentage do you
whiskey.
think this is?
Well, I drink this wine a lot, so it's not really fair, but I would say it's like a 12, 13.
Yeah, you're dead on. It's 13%, which will put you right at the medium. Body.
What do you think?
Medium.
If you have to compare it to a milk percentage, Mike,
Oh yeah.
what do you think this milk dish would be? 2%, 1%, whole milk?
No, like a 2%.
Yeah, medium. And I agree. I think this is like kind of lower end of medium, like 1%, 2%. So yeah, like medium is what I would put this as well. Mousse we don't have to talk about, obviously, because it's not sparkling.
Mhm.
Flavor intensity.
Light.
Light, I think like medium.
Yeah, I think this is actually pretty impressive, expressive. Both on the nose as well as on the palate. The flavors that are here are not shy. Like I know that it's there. Like they let you know. You may not like the wine, but you can't argue that it's not expressive. So I'm actually going to call this a medium plus as well on the palate. We call it medium plus on the nose, medium plus on the palate. What do you confirm everything that Heidi called out? Is there anything else that sticks out to you?
What do you taste?
It has like a very bubbly taste to me, like fizzy. It could be the
You say it's fizzy for you?
yeah on my tongue. Like
What? Are you allergic to blueberries?
That's a good question. I mean, I get that like fresh fruit, definitely. I mean, I less of like the candy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I get more fresh fruit on the palate, like on the nose. I got a lot more of that high tone fruit, but on the palate, I got a lot more fresh fruit here.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. This is after all 70% destem, 30% whole club, so 30% carbonics, 70% maceration, mostly all destem. So we're talking about like just really pure fruit. So yeah, it makes sense why we get actually more fresh fruit than high tone fruit. But yeah, I 100% agree. I get a lot more fresh fruit than I do get it on the nose. Do you agree with the fruits that were called? Is there something else that sticks out to you?
Like the blackberry-esque, not blueberry, although Mike might be tasting the blueberry. Like dark.
Yeah, that too. I get a little more, the fruit quality too is a little blacker, a little bit darker on the palate. On the nose, I got a lot more red with a sprinkle of bramble, but like the bramble really kicks in here. Like for me, this is like, there's certain similar, the fruit-wise, similar vibes to like a Zinfandel for me here. Like kind of like a red and black brambly kind of a thing going on here. Still a ton of red fruit in here as well, but yeah, I'll get a lot more black fruit that I did on the palate than I did on the nose, for sure. But yeah, so we call that something like violet, rose kind of thing. Mostly red fruit, touch of that's like brambly black fruit, and then none of these kind of like herbs and herbals, green things, and then I got a lot more as far as the smell wise. I got that like granitic rock dust on the nose, but here it's not necessarily more of the flavor. There's more of this kind of that. Again, this will only come to you as you taste granitic wines over and over again, and so you don't have like a kind of a mouthfeel tells like. But there's certain like this is a granitic kind of a tension, not a limestone tension. It's two very different kind of thing. The structure just feels different. But also we haven't used this word in a while, but this wine is crunchy. Like it is poppy, it's bright, it's crunchy, meaning so just as a reminder or review, as well as for those who've never heard me use that term. But like we use this term crunchy for these kind of like high acid or higher acid, really bright, poppy kind of fruit wines, fruity wines, fruit forward wines, where it kind of reminds me of things like biting into like an apple, something crunchy thing and things like that. And to me, this wine has like a similar vibe. So yeah, it's crunchy.
Yeah, as he said, he mentioned bubbly. I think you guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, Michael, that's what you're saying is bubbly is that crunchy kind of like a bright kind of a thing. Is what we're talking about. Anything else, Kelly? Secondary, tertiary?
Mm-mm. I'm not getting any yeasty.
No. Me neither. To me, this is all right here. It's
Yeah,
very fresh,
fruit
very,
forward.
very fruit forward. Yeah, exactly. Very pure in terms of fruit expression as well.
Mhm.
All right, finish. How long is the length?
I mean, it's I'd say it's like medium plus. Like I really stick around.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm gonna call this at least medium, high end of medium, lower end of medium plus. Yeah. Oh yeah, keeps going. Yeah, I'm gonna call this a medium plus as well myself. All right, bring it home for us. How good is this wine? Would you age it?
Okay. Let's see what on the, I feel like it was a lot of like, I don't remember.
Let me know too.
Medium.
Is this wine balanced?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing in here to me that just outshines everything else. I think it's very well balanced.
Yeah.
Concentration, what do we call that? On the nose,
What did we call that?
we call it medium plus on the
Medium
nose.
plus.
What did you call that in the palate?
Medium
Yeah,
plus.
you call it medium to medium plus. I call it medium plus. So somewhere
Yeah.
in there, closer to medium plus. But yeah, so concentration medium plus. Complexity, we call that fruit, flower, mostly all red fruit, touch
Yeah.
of black fruit, touch of rock dust, no secondary, no tertiary.
Yeah.
So what would you call that?
I would call that good.
Yeah, medium. Yeah, I'll say
medium.
like even lower end of medium if you want to call it, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of things going on, but
Yeah.
of what we have good concentration.
Yeah.
Finally, the length. What do we call that?
Medium plus.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
call it somewhere between medium plus, leaning towards medium plus. So I call it medium plus as well. So looking at all that balance, medium plus intensity, somewhere between medium plus intensity, medium complexity, and then medium plus length. So when you take average of all of that, we're landing.
The high end of good.
Yeah, we're
Could be very
landing
good.
somewhere between high end of good, lower end of very good. So
Yeah.
depending on how generous you want to be. But you know, me being a generous taster, I'm gonna give this a very good. But if you land it on good, I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Now, would you age this?
No, because I like to drink it right away. It's good. It's fresh. So this wine I've ordered every year. I order like a case of it from Hits of the Past.
Yeah.
And it's always a different. So I taste a difference in this year
Yeah.
from the ones I just finished from the previous. And it is like less granite, less minerally, I think, than the previous.
Okay.
But it's very fresh and I would drink it now.
Yeah. I agree. We called it what, medium, high end of medium acid. We call it medium tannin. So it's not like it has a huge backbone, right? Like it's not like it's so high in acid, so high in tannin. It's fine. And then we do have the concentration, but we don't have the complexity.
Yeah.
So maybe aging it, some of the concentration some of the concentrated fruit will turn into non-fruit, adding more complexity. But at the end of the day, it's not meant to be aged for a long time. It just doesn't have the backbone to really carry it all the way through. So I don't think this wine is going to fall apart anytime soon. But I just don't think it's meant to be aged for a long time. And quite frankly, I think the key point, the attractive part, what makes this wine delicious is the freshness of it. It's poppy, it's crunchy, it's bright. You know, like if you start getting, I don't know, some raisin fruits on this thing, or start getting like leather and other things, I'm not confident that it's necessarily gonna make the wine more delicious. So I would say drink this now. Probably won't fall apart for the next, I don't know, 2 years or something, 2 to 3 years. Drink it up to the next 2 to 3 years, but I'll say drink it now. I'm right with you, Kelly. I say drink it now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good job, everyone. Any questions? concerns, disagreements?
I have one question. So I have had the flu for last week, so I can't really smell
Mhm.
delicate flavors. And what I noticed was like a really distinct like match head kind of
Oh yeah.
like a maybe a reductive kind of thing, and which is
Okay.
an hour that my wine has been open. But when I first opened it, that's like all I could smell. Now my palate is very skewed at the moment, so I get it. But did anybody else get that?
Yeah. Did anybody else get any reduction on this wine? Yeah. Okay.
Just interesting.
Yeah, my wine was actually open in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, no, it's blown off even in the last hour. So
Okay, but okay, perhaps. I mean, it was made in stainless steel, and it was Asian stainless steel, which is a completely non-porous, non-permeable surface. So it is possible that it has some reduction for sure.
I'm looking forward to being able to smell things again. So
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other comments?
Yeah, this wine is fucking awesome, first of all.
Right?
Like this
Might
is
as
great.
well. Yeah.
So, I know we're trying to control one variable and be like volcanic granite. So can you refresh us on the differences in the technique from last week to this week? Because last week we were talking about whole cluster,
Yes.
semi-carbonic. This week I couldn't keep track of it. It was like X, Y,
Yeah,
Z.
hold on.
Like,
Let me pull up last
I'm
week's.
curious, like how much you think that change in technique.
I know last week was also partial carbonic, and let me see. Hold up. Let me look. I have it right here. An excellent question, by the way. All right. Last week was semi-carbonic with 2/3 of the fruit went through carbonic. So there was more carbonic last week than there was a maceration. This week, 70% was, so it's like almost flipped around. This week, 70% was maceration, and then 30% were carbonic. So more carbonic last week, and then less carbonic this week.
So 70% this week was where they pre-fill it with nitrogen, or the
So
opposite?
semi-carbonic, so they're not putting any the CO2 on top, the blanket on top. So they're just laying it all in there. So what I assume would be they put the D-stem berries, so fill up the tank with berries, and then on top they will lay in 30% of the whole cluster, and then they just let it sit there. The bottom of the tank, the berries on the bottom would have popped. There will be some maceration CO2 that comes up, that will rise up, start to fill up the tank. That causes basically the carbonic, the CO2 kind of blanket that kind of goes in for the rest of it, and then afterwards they'll basically press it all off and then finish it off. It's basically.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like they had like one tank they did it one way, one tank they did it one way, then they blended it. But it's all.
I mean, that's also what they could have done, but I would think that they could do it on one. I mean, that's also another one. Yes, you're absolutely right. It could have been done that way as well. That I don't know. That I do not know.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. But it is interesting though, because last week had technically more carbonic, but this week, I feel like this one seems more carbonic to me than it was last week.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand. Like last week was so inky and like fat, like that, and
yeah.
What is how much is attributable to the soil, not the technique, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent question, right? I know that initially the carbonics were used, or they were not invented, but they became popularized in Beaujolais. And they realized it did really well with a Beaujolais or Gamay grown on granite. How much of that is it actually the Gamay itself, or how much is the fact that it's grown on granite, right? So you don't have to put I guess the idea is that this kind of like carbonic character, this like bright, poppy, crunchy character of the wine really shows through when the grapes are grown on granite, more so than when it was grown on volcanic. That's one possible explanation. I do not know. That's an excellent question. I do not know, to tell the truth. That
Well,
we might get.
regardless, they got it balanced right. It's awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions? And to think about it right now, Joe, honestly, I think you're probably right. It's probably done in different tanks and blended later, rather than doing it in one tank. Because that you would only do it the way that I'm mentioning it if there's like such a small quantity that you were just making in like one tank of it and you're done with it. But you're talking about, I mean, these guys are making in the volume where they're making enough volume that it wouldn't make sense to have a bunch of those. You would just probably do carbonic ones and then destemmed ones, and then they'll blend it later. That probably makes a lot more sense. Any other questions? Do you guys like this one? Did anybody not like this one? Just out of curiosity. Yeah. I mean, I think this is like a crowd pleaser. I don't know how, if you like wine, I don't know how you cannot not like this wine. Like what's not to like here? But yeah, that's just me. Here is okay. Let's play everybody's favorite game. How much do you think this wine is on a retail shelf? How much would you be happy paying for this on a retail shelf? It's probably not a fair question for Kelly because she'd buy this every year, as she says. $28.35, $25, $20.20, $25.28, $25.32. All right. Well, you all did terribly. This wine would be $18 on a retail shelf, which is incredible, right? I mean, this is why it's awesome, like to get out of, as we talked so much about Beaujolais being, this cradle place of value. And honestly, and I said this at the beginning of this year's Beaujolais box, I think it's moving in that direction where like now I think it's legit fair to ask the question. I'm like, is Beaujolais really worth it? It's getting to that point. It's pushing the boundaries of like, is it really worth the price? Just as everything's getting expensive. But there are other parts of the world as you get out of Beaujolais that you can still find Gamay going on these different things that still gives enough of it. I mean, this is clearly not Beaujolais. Like I smell it and then immediately I know it's Gamay, but I know it's not Beaujolais. I know it's a lower Gamay. But like if I got this blind, like that's where I would go. But for the price, like you can't beat it. $18 for this. We called it good to very good, right? Yeah, that's why. So one of my favorite wines is why I've been using it when I'm working with it for so many years, because I think it's incredible value for what you get. So there you go. Get the fuck out. Sounds so good. Most order wine of 2025. Catch by the case. Yes. Yeah. $18. And if you get it by the case, it gets even cheaper. That's like per bottle price. So think about that. Any other questions? Between this week's Gamay and last week's Gamay, which one do you guys like better? And why?
I liked last week's. I thought it was delicious.
It was delicious. It's very different, right? Like it's day and night between last week and this week. Both Gamay, but day and night. What about last week do you prefer over this week?
I thought it was maybe a fuller bodied wine. It was this is a little bit lighter and a little more candy flavor, the cherry.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's perfectly right. Exactly. Last week was much more darker, brooding, bigger, fuller. This one is much brighter, poppier. So yeah, I mean, again, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just all about your preference. Yeah, I tend to personally, I tend to like a lot of these bright poppy Gamay. So like this week's wine is much more my style. If I have to choose between one or the other, this is usually what I would lean towards. But again, it's not necessarily one's better than the other. Just a different style, completely different one.
Yeah, what's funny is like even though the differences are so subtle, as you alluded to, like they're very different styles of wine, and so within last week's style of wine, it's great. I think I love that like kind of inkiness, but I know how deep it can go with the box wine and all that kind of stuff with the volcanic styles. But this, I think it's just like a different style. Even though the nuances are different, it's kind of like two different. I think they're so different. It's hard to like say which one is better. It's like they're both really good.
That's the whole point of this month, right? It's like just trying to show different stylistic style that's possible within the same grape variety. So. Cool. Any other questions, comments? Who's trying this wine for the very first time? A lot of you have had this before.
I don't think I've ever had this one.
Yeah, I think it was before you joined, Shannon. 21, yeah, for sure. This is before you joined. So what do you think?
It's so good. And having just finished all of my Bauge box from last year, I would put this alongside maybe my top 3 picks from last year's Bauge box. This is really good.
Yeah, this one is so good. They make incredible wine. They also make Muscadet, they make Pinot Noir, they make, I believe, Sauvignon Blanc too. They make a bunch of different wines. I think they started to venture into sparkling as well. But yeah, this has always been kind of my go-to with them. Yeah, it's very good. Especially for the price. I mean, you can't beat that.
I know, I can't believe that. I never would have guessed this is under $20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I was running restaurant wine program, I was, this was on the wine list for $12, per class. It's like, dude, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Excellent. How was everybody's Super Bowl Sunday? Did anybody celebrate, not celebrate? What do you guys all think about Kendrick Lamar's halftime show? That was fucking insane.
I thought it was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost lost my mind. It's great.
What did you guys cook for it?
I made the most non-typical Super Bowl Sunday food. I made like crispy Brussels sprouts with fish sauce dressing. But I did make pigs in the blanket though. So
it's good.
Yeah. I did one and the other. Jacob made some vegetarian chili. What else did we have? Well, a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. Yeah. No, it was good. Ate well.
I threw together like a great garbage mac and cheese from stuff I had in my house, right? A frozen spicy Italian sausage, frozen hot dogs, thawed that out, fried that with jalapenos, onions, 2 boxes of Velveeta shells and cheese.
Oof.
Crushed up a bag of Cheetos, bang, chucked all that shit together with Frank's hot sauce. Just
not gonna lie, Joe. I'm a little aroused right now.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. That is
And some chives, you know, for
yeah, just a title altogether.
well, salt-based out.
Yeah, yeah, I got pretty hammered. Did you guys? I don't know if you guys ever played like the Super Bowl grid game or like a